Welcome once again. Today, I want to talk about why you should be part of a community of practice. If you recall closely, there's a saying that when you go alone, you would go very, very fast, whilst when you go with others, you would go far. I am a testament of that particular saying, and I would want to briefly demonstrate how that has been part of an impact in my personal leadership journey. In 2021, right after COVID, the year of COVID, of course, if you recall closely, that was the year in October 20th when we had a protest of NSAS, the NSAS protest. And I was trying to write a lot of different articles then and see how I can put my work out there in the open. And I recall seeing the application for the Common Features Conversation Forum. It's a forum largely over 2,000 young people from across the world by Chatham House. And what it was supposed to do was to bring people together to discuss ideas and bring it to life. Basically, that was the idea around the Common Features Conversation. But what struck me was my experience, penning down my experience of what happened in with NSAS in 2020. Initially, I was carrying out activities on my own. I was doing a lot of activities quite on my own with no support. But then, when I started linking myself up with a community of practice, I emphasize on community of practice because you can just belong to any kind of community and you may not get fruition out of it. So, whilst that conversation around going with others will benefit you, it's not just going with any kind of people, it's not you making friends. It's you connecting to a community where you can get benefit from, a community of practice for a particular niche that you want to belong. And when I joined and I was accepted to Common Features Conversation for the Chatham House, I received a badge along what I wrote. But what I wrote was also on the NSAS and why it is important in terms of leadership. I experienced the NSAS. I didn't protest. At the time, I did not want to get involved in any protest because I felt that I was not ready to be part of any protest. So I didn't protest. But I observed what happened. My friends who were part of the protests and what have you, I observed everything. And it's stunning. When I named this sustaining effort from protest to policy, it was quite important. Because I said, while young people were upset at the heat of the situation of the protest and clamoring for better days, when it comes to continued action from a leaderless protest, who does the dialogue? As a question. Because as at then, everyone was springing up. We didn't really know the leaders of the protest. There was no leadership of the protest as at the time when it started. Although subsequently there was leadership in the structure of the protest, and there was some form of demands that were made to the government at the time. But I took a brief from a Harvard Business Review, How Protests Became Successful Social Movement. It was by Greg Sattel and his colleague, who they discussed certain principles in terms of leading a protest and how it should be accomplished. First is to think win-win. There is no win-loss when you're talking about the protest and how you should lead from it. And the obvious and clear purpose is a peace walk. The clear purpose should be that it is for peace. And there should be a defined purpose that should be identified with allies. Not everyone is an enemy when it comes to a particular protest. And at the end of the day, there should be a plan to survive victory. Very, very important. And this is one of the things that I felt that the NFRAD process lacked in some sort. This is a subjective opinion. Anyone can dispute it. But I didn't see from the beginning of the protest a plan to survive the victory. After the protest, what was going to happen next? Of course, people died from that protest. A lot of situations happened from that process that we may not be able to unravel today. However, when I became part of the community of practice, I was able to get a lot of opinion from people of what I wrote in that piece. I want to borrow a short interpretation from Martin Luther King when he said, "There comes a time when people get tired of being pushed out of the glittering sunlight of life's July, and they are left standing amid the piercing chill of an alpine November." What does this mean? Young people are currently trying their best, trying to see that they push things forward. And it is becoming very, very, very much of a change. Did the NSAS really do anything to bring about change? I could say yes. We could argue that it didn't. However, what am I trying to say? Join a community of practice, a community where you know that you can contribute to and it can further what support to improve you in that regard. As a practitioner also in the development sector, I would say if you want to go far, go with others within a community of practice. And while I reflect upon this, I remember that in 2021, there was a gathering of all Common Features Conversation members, and when we came together for Nigeria to discuss, my transportation was fully funded by Chatham House. My flight bookings were all paid for, and I benefited from that. I probably wouldn't have gone that far if I was not part of the community of practice. What am I saying? Join a community of practice. This is part of the lessons that I have taken and the reflection I have taken from my self-leadership and how far it has brought me. Let's see you on the next conversation. Thank you.